Recording in progress.
Hello, once again, welcome to Unboxed God, where we detox from religion and discover the God who refuses to fit inside the boxes we were given. I'm Tolu Sarah Johnson, and here we explore who God really is beyond fear, beyond formulas, and beyond everything we were taught to perform. If you're hungry for a real relationship with Him, you are in the right place. Let's dive in. So, still on the parable series, and this is going to be parable 16, the prodigal son, which is the fourth parable in the theme of return. So, the Bible verse is Luke 15:11 to 32. You see, they follow each other from the lost coin, the lost sheep, now the prodigal son. And it said a certain man had two sons, and the younger of them said to the father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. And he divided unto them his living. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land, and it began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his fields to feed swine. And what's this? I can't see. And he will fain have filled his belly with the ox that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. And when he came to himself, he said, How many hired servants of my father have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy hired servants. And he arose. I came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion, and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in thy sight, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. But the father said to his servant, Bring forth the best robe, and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet, and bring hither the fatted calf, and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead, and is alive again. He was lost, and is found. And they began to be merry. Now his elder son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said unto them, Thy brother is come, and thy father hath killed the fattest calf, because he had received him safe and sound. And he was angry and would not go in. Therefore came his father out and entreated him. And he answering said to his father, Lo, these many years do I serve thee, neither transgress I at any time thy commandment, and yet thou givest me a key that I might make merry with my friend. But as soon as thy son was come, which had devoured thy living with harlot, thou hast killed for him the fatted calf. And he said unto him, Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. It was meet that we should make merry and be glad, for this thy brother was dead and is alive again, and was lost and is found. Thank you. That was a painful read. I have to stop reading KJV. Sometimes I don't understand KJV English. So, back to the parable. Prodigal son. Prodigal son is one of the best parables that I've come to know in history. There's so many people that never did go to church, but they all knew about the prodigal son. So now in chapter 16, by the time Jesus tells the story, the room is already charged. Because remember, Jesus started from the parable of the lost sheep. It was like he told this story back to back. One wandering sheep, a searching shepherd. Then the parable of the lost coin, one missing coin, a determined woman turning the house upside down. Both are his answers to religious people complaining. This man receives sinners and eats with them. Now, Jesus tells a third story. This time, it isn't a sheep, it isn't a coin, it is a son. And not just a son who wanders, but one who walks out deliberately. Eyes open, heart hard. He walked out deliberately. If lost sheep showed us that Jesus will come after those who drift, and lost coin showed us that the Father searches for those who slip through the cracks, the prodigal son shows this. Even when you choose rebellion, even when you waste what he gave you, the Father still calls you son or daughter, not project or problem. Oh my God. Papa has shown this to me over and over again. There is no one he doesn't love. I asked him, what about all of those pastors that have walked away, all of those Christians that walk away, say they are deconstructing from Christianity? They are leaving you, Jesus. They are leaving you, Papa. And Papa said, they are not leaving me. They are leaving the counterfeit me. They are still my son. When does it stop? When does a son stop being a son? Yes, that's what he said. And it also exposes something even more uncomfortable. There is another lost child who never left the house. Yes, the older son. My story fits both categories. I'm prodigal. I am older brother. The first day we dealt with this with Papa, I was like, at the beginning, I thought I was only the older brother. But as we went in the parable, I saw that I was lost as well in religion. Oh my God. Self-righteous. Judgmental. Rule keeper. But God still loves me. And he still loves you. Jesus still spent 2 decades with me. Just talking to me. Telling me nothing spiritual, but majority of the time about my life. Even though I was a prodigal. Even though I was a prodigal. We are all loved. So let's start from the youngest son. When freedom became the self-destruction, which we all can attest to this, that free will did cause us a lot of destruction. But at the same time, the Father cannot force us. So, the youngest son said, Father, give me the share of the estate that belongs to me. In that culture, this is basically saying, I'd rather have your money than your presence. I wish you were dead so I could live my life without you. That was what the son said. It's disrespect, arrogance, and entitlement all in one. Today, it looks like the young woman who leaves home determined to live her truth. The man who decides he's done with God, church, and any moral restraint. The believer who says, let me just taste everything the world offers first. So it takes what the Father gives, talent, opportunities, money, spiritual inheritance, and spends it on himself. He went to a far country and wasted his possessions with reckless living. Far country, the place where nothing reminds you of the Father anymore. You can live as if he never existed until the famine hits. Yes, the famine came, the rock bottom. When he had spent all, a severe famine arose in that land, and it began to be in want. And the famine is not just bad luck, it's mercy in disguise. You call it beautifully the custom. I will call it beautifully the custom calamity. The custom calamity. Not every hardship is from God, but many times when we ignore his voice in gentleness, he allows pressure to expose our foundation. Do you know why I call it custom calamity? That was customized to you as a person. We might have faced our own rock bottom. You might have faced your own famine. Everybody's famine looks different. But God can carve a custom calamity for you that will bring you back to him. For the prodigal, famine strips away all the illusions. It reveals who was really there for him, and there was no one. It shows him what all his freedom has actually produced, emptiness. So he goes from wealthy son to broke foreign worker. He did go from party host to pig feeder. It goes from being filled to begging to eat pig food. And then comes one of the most important phrases in the whole chapter. But when he came to himself, the famine does outside work. That moment does inside work in you. He suddenly sees who his father has always been, who he has become, how unnecessary his suffering actually is. And then he look at himself. How many of my father's hired servants have bread enough and to spare, and I am dying with hunger? Here is the key. His first thought is not, I miss my inheritance. It is, I miss my father's house. That's the beginning of return. Do you miss your father's house? Are you yearning for him? Do you feel that there's a vacuum in your heart that only your return can resolve? Do you feel helpless and you feel that you've lost everything, but you cannot return home, and you feel stuck where you are? Papa is calling you to return, just like the prodigal son. And do you know what the prodigal son thought? He said, I will return, but in shame. I'll go back just as a servant. And he was rehearsing his speech. I'm no longer worthy to become your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. This is where most Christians get stuck. Hardship has softened them. They are ready to come back to God, but their guilt tells them they can't come back as children. Their shame says, you blew it. Be grateful if he just let you in the back door. So they walk into the church or prayer or worship internally, saying, I still sit at the back. I won't expect God to use me. Let me just be tolerated, not embarrassed. I don't think I deserve God's love. That was me. I don't think He's going to love me. That was me. I think there's some special children that he loves more, and that's definitely not me because I failed Him. I've been so stubborn. I have disobeyed Jesus. That was me. So many things I've used to disqualify myself. The prodigal son has already disqualified himself before he even reached home. And this is exactly how many people live, doing ministry but feeling like second class. Yes. I can not remember the name of this pastor, but this pastor is quite outstanding. He sold so many books. He's been serving God for so long. I think it's Francis something, and still believe he doesn't know whether God loves him. He still goes to God appealing like a servant. So his work with God is not working with him. It's working for him. He's trying to please him so that when he dies, he can come home. Because he says he doesn't even know whether his eternity is guaranteed. That is where a lot of us are. We're praying but expecting very little. We are serving but never feeling truly at home with God. They've returned geographically but not returned relationally. They don't yet know the Father they are walking back to. But what does the Father say? Or what did he do? He ran towards the smell of the pigs all over the sun. He ran. Just like the Father ran to me. This prodigal story just mirrors my life. When my husband passed on, I thought I have sinned. I thought it was a punishment. I thought God does not want me. I thought I've disappointed him. And the first question I asked Jesus after I met Matthew about 3 months after my husband passed, Jesus, what do you think of me? I expected him to say, I am ashamed of you. I told you over 1,000 times to obey Ben, but you never keep to it. You do it for some time and you go back. But what did he say? You are a kingmaker, Tolu. You made Ben. You made him to who he is today. And I was wondering, me, kingmaker, a forgotten widow? And Jesus spoke to me at length on suffering, on the value of suffering. And forever I am grateful to him, because even though I went back like that prodigal son, I felt I didn't deserve him. God said, Jesus said, we love you, Tolu. We love you, we love you, we love you. We are here for you. And that can be you today. Are you feeling lost? Are you feeling you squandered everything? And Papa is saying, no, I just don't want you to be back geographically. I don't want you to be back to church. I want you to be back relationally. Are you even in heaven? And you know you don't have a relationship with God. You know you're just watching from afar. All the revival that's been happening, you are watching from afar because you don't think that you deserve him. And Papa is saying, you deserve me. You are my child. The fact that you are in heaven means I care so much about you. And he's running towards you. He's running just like he ran to the prodigal. But while he was still a long way off, that's what the Bible says, his father saw him and had compassion. God is having compassion on so many people now. He had compassion on me. His heart is always open. He loves, even to the extent that he won't sin. He's been waiting for that prodigal son. He's been yearning, and he just saw him from afar, and he just picked race. He couldn't wait for him to get close, and fell on his neck and kissed him. Before the son can deliver his perfectly crafted apology, the father already said, I see you. He sprinted towards him. He hugged him. He kissed him. That was not what the prodigal was expecting. I wasn't expecting God will welcome me home. I wasn't expecting He's going to give me this opportunity that He gave me. I wasn't expecting that He would text me that I can interview Him almost every hard day. There's surely something for you. There's something for every of His children. But I had to walk away from thinking I don't deserve Him. No social distancing from the smell of the pigs. No social distancing from anything that you think you've done. Papa didn't say, explain where the money went. Show me you're serious this time. Let me see how you behave for 6 months. He cut the son's speech in half. The son manages to say, I have sinned against heaven, and in your sight, I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. But he never gets to say, make me like one of your higher servants. The father interrupts with others. Best robe, covering shame with honor. Ring, restoring authority and family name. Come on, give him sandals. Only slaves when barefoot. This is sonship reinstated. Fattened cow, reserved for special occasions. This is a full-blown feast. The father doesn't just forgive him. He publicly reinstates him. This is my son. This my son was dead and is alive again, was lost and is found. This is the part religion cannot tolerate, because religion says you can come back but stay small. You are forgiven but don't expect favor. God loves you but He is disappointed in you forever. The father says, you never stop being my son. Your behavior change, not my heart. I will restore you faster than you are comfortable with. Yes. But the older brother, if this story ended in verse 24, Pharisees might still smile politely. But Jesus isn't done. Now the older brother was in the field. The older son was in the field. And the older son never left home, never broke the obvious rules, never embarrassed the family. Yet his heart is farther away than his brother's ever was. He hears music and dancing and refuses to go in. And when the father comes out and plays with him, you finally hear what's really inside. All these years I've been slaving for you, yet you never gave me even a young goat to celebrate with my friend. But when the son of yours came, this son of yours that has been wasteful, would devour your livelihood with prostitute, you kill the fatted calf for him. Ow! It's just like when Matthew gets to heaven and God kills the fatted cow for him. And the older son, the religious ones that feel he doesn't deserve it, they'll come and say, he's devoured your livelihood, but you killed the fatted cow for him. Listen to the language. Slaving, He doesn't see himself as a son either, only a high-performing servant. Yes, this son of yours, he refuses to call him my brother. Yes, you never gave me resentment. He believes love must look like visible reward. He obeyed that worldly, but his heart never rested in love. He is the Pharisee in the story. He is the self-righteous Christian, the judging elder, the cold doctrinal policeman. He believes God should be stricter with people like that. Grace is fine, but this is too much. If he loves me, why isn't he throwing parties for me? The father's reply is so gentle and so exposing. Son, you are always with me, and all that I have is yours. It was right that we should celebrate and be glad. For your brother was dead and is alive again, was lost and is found. He corrects both lies at once. You're not a slave. You've always been my son. He's not the son of mine. He is your brother. The tragedy is, we are not told if the older brother ever went in. And not just that alone. Those gay, those lesbian, those other people of other religion, they are all our brothers. We all belong to the same Father. They deserve the Father's presence just like you. And the tragedy doesn't be that. The tragedy is you might even be pointing to those ones that you think they don't deserve God, but you never get into the house in the end. Jesus leaves the ending open. We never knew whether the older brother ever went in, because we must decide. Do you want to come in or do you want to stay? That story is hanging in there. But where does this story touch heaven? You ask. Let me rephrase. There are broadly two kinds of prodigals, even in heaven. Earthly prodigals still carry shame. Some arrive in heaven, forgiven, welcome, saved, but emotionally still feeling like I wasted my life. I squandered years in addiction, fear, religion, or disobedience. I made it in, but always be the one who blew it. This one struggle to receive promotion, to receive honor, to receive responsibility, because internally they still see themselves as hired servant, not restored son and daughter. To them, the Father is still doing what he did in this parable, putting new robes of honor on them, placing rings of authority on their hand, inviting them into the roles that feel too kind for their history. He is reparenting their identity, not just their location. And that is happening now. There's so many people that do not think they deserve the role that God is giving them. The ones that religion has pointed fingers at, like Tiffany, we used to be a witch, like Jonathan, we used to be an atheist, and God is lifting them and placing robes of honor on them, placing rings of authority on them, inviting them into roles that feels too kind for their history. But that's what Papa does. He runs, he embraces. And he's so much happier now because more of his children are coming back home. But what about the heavenly older brothers? Others arrive in heaven with years of faithful church service, correct doctrine, clean reputation, but very little understanding of grace. They may look down on those who lived messy lives on earth, quietly resent the honor and intimacy some former prodigals now walk in. Struggle that the Father seems as tender with them as with me. Heaven is not a place where God suddenly changes his value. So even there, the Father gently takes these older brothers and sisters aside and say, all that I have, has always been yours. Christians, we think we were the special children, and we got to heaven and we saw so many prodigal sons way ahead of us. God is telling you, all that I have has always been yours, but you've never really enjoyed me. Come into the feast, learn joy, learn grace. For both groups, shame-filled prodigals and frozen older brothers, the invitation continues. Yes, for both groups, the shame-filled prodigals and the frozen older brothers. The invitation is for all of us. Return, not to a building, not to a job, not to a role. Return to my heart. That's what Papa is saying today. Return to my heart. That's what Jesus is saying today. That we are all loved. We belong to him. And for we that still on heart, if you feel like the younger son, you might recognize yourself if you've wasted years in obvious sin. You walked away from church calling on God. You are afraid you can never be what you could have been. Hear this. The famine in your heart is not proof God has rejected you. It may be his kindness calling you home. Yes, you do not have to negotiate your way back as a servant. The moment you turn, the Father runs. And you can be honest. Father, I have sinned. I have made mess. I feel unworthy. And let him interrupt your rehearsed self-humiliation with, bring the rope, bring the ring. My child is home. Your story is not ruined life, second-rate future. Your story can be dead and now alive, lost and now found. And if you feel like the older brother, you might recognize yourself. If you serve God for years, you've never outwardly rebelled, but secretly you carry resentment, comparison, and judgment. Sign of the older syndrome is anger when messy people get celebrated, discomfort with radical grace, seeing your obedience more as slaving than shared life with a father, feeling overlooked and under-rewarded. The Father's invitation to you is, you are always with me. Everything I have is already yours. But you've lived like an employee, not a son, daughter. Your repentance is not from drugs and sex and wild rebellion, but from self-righteousness, spiritual pride, and joylessness. And your healing will come as you start to celebrate others' restoration. Let God love you. Let God love you as you, not just as his hard-working servant. That's what Papa had to get away from me. I love you for you, Tolu. If you walk in church, if you've been in religion, you'll find it hard to believe. But I want you to believe today. I'm no longer religious. I don't pray 2 hours. I barely pray 5 minutes. I just talk to him. And my life has never been much better. So, rediscover the joy of being with him, not just working for him. Let's use this analogy to close this chapter. Imagine a master artist with a beautiful studio. He has true apprentice. Apprentice 1, they run away. The younger one says, I don't want to paint your way. Give me my share of your supplies and contacts. I want my studio, my own style, my own name. He leaves, takes paint, brushes and canvases, and starts splashing color around recklessly. At first, it looks exciting. It gets attention, parties, noise, applause. But over time, the bills pile up. The commissions dry. His work loses depth. His freedom collapses into chaos. He ends up painting adverts for cheap brand just to survive, eating instant noodles and sleeping in a damn flat, staring at his stained hands thinking, even the interns in my master's studio live better than this. One day, Desperate, he decides, I'll go back. I don't deserve to be an apprentice again. But maybe he'll hire me as a cleaner. He walks back expecting a closed door. Instead, he finds the master standing outside the studio, looking down the road, then suddenly running towards him with tears in his eyes. The master doesn't say, explain. He says, come on. I kept a place for you at the easel. It gives him a new coat, new brushes, a front row space under the window with the best light. And he plans a gallery exhibition around the return of the son and calls all his friends to see the transformation. But the apprentice too, the resentful one, the older apprentice comes in from a long day of careful work, hears the laughter, sees the light and asks, what's going on? When he hears, he's furious. I stayed. I cleaned the brushes. I mixed the paint. I kept the studio running. You never threw me a party. The master gently says, you've been in this studio with me every day. All these colors, all these canvases, all this space, it's always been yours as well. You could have asked. You could have celebrated. But your heart never rested with me. It slaved from me. Now your brother is back. I'm not choosing him over you. I'm asking you to join my joy. The question hangs in the air. Will he drop his resentment and pick up a glass to toast his brother? Or will he stay outside right but joyless? That is the question Jesus leaves us for. Jesus lives for us. Will you, the older resentful brother in heaven, will you drop your resentment, pick up a glass, and toast with the prodigal brother that you think they don't deserve to be where they are? Will you drop your resentment and see that the witches deserve heaven, the prostitute deserve heaven, the reject deserves heaven, the atheist deserves heaven, the addict deserves heaven. We all deserve heaven. And we can all walk together in oneness and rejoice together and celebrate in the presence of God. Not as this is Christian, this is Muslim, but we all unify together in oneness and let the heart of the Papa, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit be filled with joy when they see the gathering and the joy that exists between all of his children, all of their children, irrespective whether you are the older brother or you used to be the prodigal. We are all one. We all belong to him. So, as this return theme unfolds through the friend at midnight, the lost coin, the lost sheep, and now the prodigal son, a single line threads them all together. The Father is far more committed to reconciliation than you are to running or to judging. To the runner, is not finished with you. Your family is not the end of your story. To the ashamed, you are not applying for a servant role. You are being restored as a son or daughter, like Tiffany was restored. To the faithful but bitter, he wants more for you than duty. He wants you in on his joy, like that resentful Christian. Wherever you see yourself, younger son, older brother, a mixture of both, this parable is your invitation. Come home to the Father's heart, not as you think you deserve to be treated, but as he has already decided to love you. I hope you've been blessed. Meet you in parable 17. God bless.